Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today on Collection Lessons, I want to talk about sacrifice. It's one of my collection lessons series. I think it's in this Charles and I think advice, and let's get going. So when I talk about sacrifice, I talk about when you trade something greater for something lesser. Right? It's when you trade something that is worth more, either value or worth more to you, or could be worth more, and you trade it for something lesser. That's a sacrifice. I didn't quite understand what sacrifice was, you know, until now. And now I understand it, right? When when I was consolidating, all of the debts I had, writing them out, paying them off, and everything, um, I realized how much I sacrificed. And it was interesting as you're paying things off, you're getting rid of things, you're cleaning things up, you're grabbing the value back out of the things, that people thought that was the sacrifice. And it's like, no, that was the sacrifice, if that makes sense. There's no sacrifice when you're going from something lesser to something greater. That's not a sacrifice. Sacrifice is the other way. This is upgrading. This is like improving. This is getting better, right? So give a quick example. Here's me. When, I was 28 or so, I was like, I would like a nice car. I deserve it. I want a nice car, right? And so, I had some debt. Obviously, I had a bunch of debt, but I was playing the debt versus the how much you're making in the markets and all that kind of junk back in the day. And I was like, well, I deserve a car because I've made so much money. It was a great thought, but I should have paid off all my debts, and I didn't. So when I went here to here and I bought the car, we'll call this a car, right? I bought the car for, I don't know, it was like, I think it was like 6K or something like that. I bought it for 6K, and then over the next I think it was 4 years or so, I think it cost about another 6K. That was in things I wanted to improve, fix it, tires, the intake, the exhaust, the insurance, the premium on the gas. I calculated it was about 6 grand I paid in 4 years on top of the 6 grand here. So in total, I was theoretically in for 12K. What I didn't realize, at the time, this was in 2017, 2018, I think it was. What I didn't realize at the time was this action was the initial sacrifice. And then this was more sacrifice. Because what was I sacrificing? Well, if I put, 6K into a market, we'll call it, I don't know, a market where it makes 2, 3, 4x, and then over the next 4 years, I keep putting in, another 6K to match the 12K that I was in up here. I figure it could have been, I don't know, 50K over that amount of time. Because, there was, markets go up and some markets only go up and all that type of stuff, right? But theoretically, that's 6 grand, and that 6 grand over time cost me 50 grand. How much did the car cost me? The sacrifice was I traded potentially 50 grand for a car that was only worth 6 grand, that I put another 6 grand in. So what's my return on investment here? Right? This was the sacrifice. The sacrifice happened up in this area. If I wouldn't have done that, and I would have invested it, I would have 6K plus 6K is at least 12K, let's say, in the market, up and down a little bit, but usually things in a market generally go up at 10 to whatever percent, depends on whatever market you're in. But I could have turned this into 50K. So what's my sacrifice here? What if I pull that 6K back out? And I pull that 6K out and I make money for me. I pay off debt, which is a guaranteed return on investment. Or I put it into a market where it makes money after I'm debt free, right? Is this action the sacrifice? It's like, no, you didn't sacrifice the car. You're trading the car, which is lesser, for something greater, which is like future potential money, earnings, whatever, right? If this 50K after 4 years went for another 4 years and doubled, let's say, just conservatively, again, then it's 100K. It's like realizing the mistake that I had was too much money in vehicles. Then I pulled it out, consolidated to one, and then I'm not, bleeding the money here that added no value to the vehicle. And I stopped the bleeding, and then I'm able to take this amount that I would have paid for probably another 4 years after. It's like, I hope you see what I'm talking about when I say sacrifice. The sacrifice is when you trade something greater, your time, for something lesser, plastic bills in Canada, right? Freaking monopoly money. You're trading your time, which is the most precious commodity in the world, for dollars, right? You're trading your time here for dollars down here. You want to get rid of the something lesser. When you go like this, for from a job to like money, because you're selling your time, you're selling something. Either you're selling products, or you're selling, a solution, or you're selling whatever it may be. You're selling it for something lesser. You're sacrificing your time for money. What you want to do is hopefully use that money to go further and beyond and upgrade further than the sacrifice was, if that makes sense. So, I basically realized that, and I stopped bleeding the money on the car, sold the car, got the value of the car out, so now it can continue on the path it was meant to be. I sacrificed the sacrifice, if you want to say that, right? I stopped the bleeding. I stopped that. I went down to the solution down below, where I'm getting either a guaranteed return on investment, or I'm getting some investment of some sort, and then the cash flow is better. I just want to share that because it's interesting when people think that, you're downsizing, downgrading, whatever, just to pay off debt. It's like, oh, you're sacrificing. It's like, no, all the debt was the sacrifice that I'm paying for now, right? And now that it's gone, as per the last video, there's no more sacrifices. There's only improving. There's only getting better. It's like, sure, I could lose some money, but like, you have to lose some money to invest, no matter what. It's like paying tuition. It's your tuition to the markets, right? When you're trying to figure out trading, and the market's going like this, and you're like up here, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy here, and then it's like, oh no, just kidding, and it comes down here, and then you sell here, and then it comes back up, and you're like, well, what the heck? You just got like, it's like, this is the cost of tuition for the markets, because if you look like long term, generally things go up because inflation pushes it that way, and you basically need to invest in something, either real estate or crypto or stocks or whatever that may be, whatever you need to invest, even yourself. The whole point is to trade something lesser for something greater. And hope that makes sense. Hope this visual kind of gives a visual. This stuff down here, on this path where you're potentially, going to make more, so you don't have to sacrifice your time for money anymore. Down here, this isn't the sacrifice. It may look like it, but the sacrifice happened way before, right? So just wanted to share that. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks, and talk soon.